Okay, so here we are, week 8, almost over. This week, you're going to look at genres and activity theory and systems, and next week, digital and multimodal writing. Obviously, there's so much more we could talk about, but at least this will give you a pretty significant grasp of the history of comp theory, where it's been, why it's moved, where it's moved, and then you can kind of dig around on your own now that you have a sense of what's going on. Genre analysis, activity theory are huge in our field. Um, Before I get into the readings, let me just briefly talk about the project. So your high stakes project is your final project. Hopefully, you've been thinking about it up until this point. But this week you'll have a very informal first draft, and that draft could be honestly a list of questions, ideas, images, drawings, graphs, charts, whatever it is that represents your thoughts and ideas in relation to that project. You can put it down, and I can help you, and the rest of the class can help you move those ideas forward. So if I can see anything that you're thinking in relation to that project, I can usually make some suggestions that'll help you move forward. And then next week, like I said, we'll look at digital writing, and you'll have a second draft due. That also can be very informal, just extending work from this week. And then week 10, the final week, there's nothing due. It's just an open work week. You can work on your project. You can work on maybe some things that you weren't able to finish earlier in the course. If you weren't able to turn something in earlier, you can go back and finish it and turn it in. Not a big deal. So try to use that time as wisely as you can. And then the exam week is just, again, you working on that final project and finishing up maybe any unfinished work from the course. And then you can turn all that in towards the end of exam week. I think I have 18th marked for our final project deadline. So, okay, and I would love to chat with anyone about their projects. If you would like to have a video chat or a phone call or real time instant message about your project, I'm happy to meet with you, happy to meet with the group. I'm sure that's really hard, and I get it. So, just do the best that you can. We can always communicate, obviously, through your draft feedback. But again, I just wanted to let you know I'm available if you want to talk about your project a little bit. So this week, like I said, you'll read about genres. Genre theory and activity theory are really huge in composition theory. And you'll see why when you read the Anis Bawarshi piece. Anis used to be over at University of Washington for a little while, but she's one of the leading genre scholars in the country, really. So her book is a great way of, learning about genre studies in a more, I guess, I don't know how I would put this, maybe in an up-to-date, a more progressive sense, like the way that she's examining genres and genre analysis with more of the social epistemic frames that we're into now versus like genre studies from the past that didn't really think about the culture, the political and social elements that shape writing and writers and the communities they write in, and how sort of constraining and restricting, limiting those communities can be, and how those communities actually have like very specific ways of evidence, knowledge making, conformity. So again, just this idea that genres and writing inside communities is a lot more than just a formula you master. They're actually like identity formations, knowledge formations taking place through genres. So I think you'll like Anis's book. I clipped up the whole book, but I've asked you to just kind of skim through the first 100 pages. But really, that means read the intro really critically because she gives you some great definitions for genre, and then just kind of skim and scan the rest of those pages to the best of your ability. I tried to trim the readings down a little bit. I know 100 pages sounds like a lot, but again, after you read the introduction, you can skim, and then you can read the Wardle and Kane piece about activity theory, which I think is like another way of thinking about how writing takes place inside discourse communities, inside communities of practices, how they use genres, how those genres are tied to activity systems that essentially control how writing is created, the tools that are used to create writing, the people who get to create writing. So again, activity theory is a great frame to start thinking about composition scholarship. You could immediately start using activity theory frames to do analysis on communities. And I've given you a few examples in my written summaries of activity theory. And Wardle she actually trained me. So I'm connected to the Elizabeth Wardle kind of, I guess, scholarly mentoring link. So she was the chair of the English or the Writing and Rhetoric department at University of Central Florida, where I taught, and I worked with her in her writing about writing curriculum and researched a bunch of curriculum pedagogical outlines for her and implemented those and practiced those. So again, Wardle and Bawarshi are more progressive, current examples of what composition scholarship looks like. And then the last piece is a little bit different. It's not, disconnected. It's just about the neoliberalization of higher ed. And I think it's really important that you understand, first of all, what neoliberal is. I'm sure you've heard that term in so many contexts, but in educational context and higher education context, it's really important because it's dismantled higher education. Neoliberal is about marketplace ideals, the privatization of higher education, the reducing of higher education, to a sort of one-size-fits-all skills model, and it's highly problematic, and it has definitely taken a toll on the teaching of writing and composition as a field. So I think it's really important that you understand what's happening to the university, how it's happening, why it's happening, and what that means. You'll be a smarter scholar, teacher, student, etc. And then that's it for this week. So hopefully those pieces will give you a deeper perspective into the current scholarship and theoretical approaches to studying composition and thinking about composition right now. So have a good week. If you need anything, please reach out. Continue to turn in whatever you can turn in. And if you want to have a short meeting about your project, just let me know. Otherwise, I will see you next week on the video.